You can't think African World Cup and not think Roger Miller 1990 dancing by the corner post. I mean, that was a crazy time announcing African football to the world, man. And of course, that's an iconic moment. It's up there for me with the Hand of God by Maradona, dare I say. Then, of course, you can't talk World Cup and not talk the first ever tournament held in Africa, which was South Africa 2010, man. And Bakana, the heartbreak by Luis Suarez against Ghana. I mean, that's the time Suarez announced his name to the world, to Africa, man. You, at some point, was the most hated man in the world, especially in this continent. I don't know why he left Johannesburg, man. But then, that was such an iconic World Cup. And this time around, man, we expect Africa to represent, I mean, dare I say Africa to go all the way to the final. I mean, let's hope, we can hope. Welcome everyone to MRM Sports. I'm your host, Ronald M. It's time for the World Cup. And as such, we have to drop World Cup content, man. We have to. And of course, we have to represent the continent, the motherland, as African Americans would call it, man. I thought everyone is talking about the European teams, South American teams, your Brazil, your Argentina. They talk about your England, your France. Why not do something for the continental representatives, man? The African teams, the 5 African teams going to Qatar 2022. And I think with the World Cup being in November, everything just happens at. I mean, it's a first of its kind. Maybe this is the tournament where Africa really pulls off some surprises, and maybe we have more than half of our representatives qualifying for the next stage, for the knockout phases, quarterfinals, then maybe even dare dream semi-final for the first time ever. And I thought, you know what? I think we do have a chance. We have some pretty good teams, and we have 5 representatives in this World Cup, namely the reigning, defending, undisputed Afcon champions of the continent. We have Senegal representing. We have Cameroon also representing. We have Ghana representing. Then we have 2 North African teams in Tunisia and Morocco, man. I think these are quite good teams. Of course, maybe some of us would have wanted to see maybe especially Nigeria with the stars they have all over the world. Nigeria also going to the World Cup. And of course, Salah and Egypt also going. But then it wasn't to be, man. Maybe something CAF can look at and decide to work against where Africa is more representatives in, because you look at the number of teams from Europe, for example, it's always more than any other continent, I believe. So maybe something CAF should push on the next World Cup so that we have more representation and more chances of us making it even to the semi-final for the first time ever, man. And you think, you know what, this is a World Cup where teams are being written off, like African teams are being written off. You know, everyone's focusing on the South American teams and European teams. And I believe this is a World Cup where we will shock people. And I mean, so I thought, why not start with, I think everyone's favorite to go deep into the competition from Africa, which is the Lions of Teranga, your Senegal. I think this is, on paper, the strongest nation representing Africa at this Qatar World Cup, man. I mean, of course, you have the famous son of Senegal, who is Sadio Mane. I believe he's in the top 10 most important players in the world, top 10 best players in the world at the moment. And of course, I mean, he's injured. That's such a huge blow for the continent. I mean, it's rumored that he'll be out for the first 2 games, which is, of course, against the Netherlands and against the host nation Qatar. I mean, the group. Looking at the group, I mean, they're part of Netherlands. The group is Netherlands, is Qatar and Ecuador. And on paper, this is not the most difficult group Senegal could have gotten, most difficult team Senegal could have gotten. I think the obvious standout challenge will be the first game against Netherlands. But then, you know what? Looking at Senegal with the coach, Aliou Cissé, who has been there. I mean, he was there as a player 2002, where they reached the quarterfinal. I mean, they defeated that famous France team, which had Zinedine Zidane, your Thierry Henry, your Pires and stuff, man. So what's stopping him? I mean, he has the knowledge as a player. He has taken Senegal. I mean, he was the coach in the 2018 World Cup, and they've won a tournament playing as a squad. I mean, they won the Afcon, they're current holders, as I said. So you know what? And if you watch Senegal, play Afcon, they play tournament football, especially in the group stages. I mean, they nicked the 1-0 the first game, I believe, and then there's some couple of results at 3-1 and another 3-1, and then they won the tournament on penalties against Egypt. Which, when you think about it, that's tournament football. That's how you play tournament football. Other than Germany, how many teams like really dominated, other than Germany and Spain. Other teams always, you think Italy 2006 when they won it, they didn't beat teams 4-5, 6-0. They're just 1-0, 2-1 wins, 2-0 wins, keeping it strong at the back. And I think that's Senegal's biggest asset they have. They can play that tournament football. And if you look at the team, man, I think it's quite a strong team. I mean, if you look at the predicted 11, of course you have Mendy at goal, you have Koudibaly and Salabi, and Koudibaly and Diallo as the two pairing defenders. I mean, Koudibaly, Napoli great. I mean, he had a stellar career at Italy, and then he moved on to England. Of course, it hasn't worked out quite well for Chelsea at the moment, but then he knew the quality he brings, and he's captained the squad to a tournament as well. I mean, then of course you have Diallo, who plays for Leipzig, which, I mean, Leipzig is a big team. They're through to the round of 16 of the Champions League in Europe. He's a regular starter there. I mean, he's used to playing the big names. He won't be faced. Those two defenders, I think they won't be faced by any challenge or any unexpected opponents, man. They are used to playing against world-class players. Then you think at right back, they've Yusuf Salabi, who plays for Real Betis. I mean, his La Liga and Europa Conference experience, which is quite good for us, if you think about it. And then, of course, at left back, we'd expect them to play Balotore, man, who also plays in Europe as well. So I think that's key. Then you look at the midfield. I mean, it is a Kanake who was at PSG and then he's back at Everton. I mean, you have Konate and you have Papa Gueye, who, if you on paper, that midfield is strong. I mean, it can protect the back four. I think Senegal will most likely go with the 4-3-3 anyway. So you have defenders who can protect the team. I mean, you have Popo Sis again, who's a defender who plays for Olympiacos. Balotore, the left back, plays for AC Milan. I mean, these are big clubs in European competitions, so they understand the cream de la cream of football. Because in all honesty, that's where the top football is played in the world, in Europe, man. And then in midfield, like I've said, you have Guyana, you have Pat Sis, who plays for Rayo Vallecano. You have your Papa Gueye, who plays for Marseille. Your Diatta plays for Monaco. This is a strong, I think on paper, this is arguably the strongest side Africa has at the moment. Then going forward, man, of course, the blow to Mane is going to be huge. But then you have your Ismail Sarr, man, who is always electrified wearing a Watford shirt in the Premier League and also in the Championship, man. And it's quite amazing that how he hasn't moved to a bigger team than Watford, because I think his talent does deserve him to move to advance. And with Mane out, you'd expect him to step up. And then you also have this kid who plays for Villarreal, who has been touted by Newcastle and Aston Villa, in Nicholas Jackson, who can play as a forward. He's a winger, basically. So you expect him and Sarr to actually step up. And depending on how the coach Cisse goes about it, maybe bring in Dieng, who plays for Marseille, or bring in Diano, who plays for Sheffield to strike up first, or even Diha, who plays for Alanspor. I don't know which team. I think it's also in Europe. I think, yeah. I mean, you do expect this team to perform very well. And of course, yeah, they've also Pape Sarr, who's at Spurs, and then also Napolas Mendy, who's at Leicester. So I think midfield-wise, it should be interesting to see if it goes maybe with a two pivot and one attack-minded midfielder, especially in the first game, or it goes with three similar midfielders who will be box-to-box and defensive-minded, man. But then I think, looking at the first game they have, for me, I mean, it's against Netherlands, and for me, that game is a huge game. It's a huge way to kick off the tournament, because the last thing Senegal will want, the good thing is Qatar and Ecuador play the first game on Sunday. Then Senegal and Netherlands play on Monday. So by the time Senegal plays, they know what to do. I mean, either it might end in a draw, or one of the teams who play inside will win the game. So Senegal will know that the last thing they want is to be at the bottom of the group after playing Netherlands. So I think that will also determine maybe the tactics Cisse will go with. Because the last thing Senegal wants is to be heavily defeated by Netherlands, and then then the last two games are a must win against Qatar and Ecuador, which will put too much pressure on them. So I think from a perspective of Senegal, the thing they need to do the most is maybe get a positive result. I mean, a draw against Netherlands is definitely a good result. And if they can nick a 1 or 2-0 win, it's another good result, man. I mean, if you defeat Senegal, then I think we're on course to actually try and top the group and make the draw to the next stage a bit easier. So it'll be quite interesting to see the tactical side, what it does, man. And of course, against Netherlands, he's playing against a coach who has experience in the World Cup, took Netherlands to the semi-final in 2014 in LVG, man. Man United fans will know him best. I mean, he's a brilliant coach. Take nothing away from him. He's a coach who expects Netherlands to do well. And this time around, the Dutch have quality players. You think of, especially in the defense, I mean, the Van Dijk, who's arguably the best defender in the world, or has been for the past few seasons. You have De Ligt, who was tipped at some point to be the best defender in the world. You have your Ake, you have your guy who plays for Inter Milan at defense. I mean, it's a strong team. You have a Daley Blind who is at Ajax. Look at the midfield, you have De Jong. I mean, even the guy who plays for United wasn't called up. So you can see Netherlands are a strong team going forward. I mean, they have your Bergwijn, they have your Tillemans at Belgium. I mean, there's this guy who plays for Barca, who is also at some point played for United. I mean, their names are skipping me, but then it is Netherlands. It is like a quite good team. And I mean, I've been listening to reports and some content on YouTube as well from other creators who have Netherlands as the dark horse of the tournament. And in all honesty, you wouldn't blame them for putting the Dutch there because they have a quite good squad. I mean, if you go through the squad, you'll see that this is actually a good team. And you'd expect them to perform well, man. I think everyone is tipping the Dutch to top the group. And then, the position for the second is up for grabs with anyone. So if Senegal, if the Lions of Teranga do well against this Dutch team, man, I can definitely see us going maybe all the way to the semi-final. Because if we top the group, we can expect Senegal to get an easier draw in the round of 6 in the next stage, in quarterfinal, and then boom, we're in the semi-final already. I mean, this for me, Senegal are our hope. Yes, Cameroon can surprise, Morocco can surprise, Tunisia can surprise, Ghana can surprise because they have good players in all honesty. But then I think if Senegal get a heavy defeat, it'll be interesting to see how other African teams will attack this tournament, because you can bet they will be looking at this Senegal game. I think everyone knows they'll look at this game and see how Senegal plays as the current holders of Afcon, and maybe to motivate them to also perform at higher level, man. But yeah, it'll be quite interesting to see. I can't wait for the game on Monday. I mean, it'll be 21st, my birthday, so I can't definitely wait for the game on Monday. And it'll be interesting to see how, man, we line up and how we perform. I mean, I'm fingers crossed that Africa does do well in this tournament, man. Because the last time around we eliminated, no team progressed out of the group stages, which was quite an embarrassment for the continent. So we need to do well. I mean, if 3 of the 5 teams go through to the knockout stages, I think that'll be brilliant, man. That'll be top grade, and African football will be represented well, because it is. I can say it is the biggest sport on the continent. I mean, you go to any country in Africa, I mean, football is widely followed. The Premier League, Serie A, La Liga, it's widely followed, man. But yeah, guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video, and check out more content on African teams dropping as well. We'll definitely preview all the 5 teams going to the World Cup before the tournament kickoffs. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and check out more content, and turn on that notification bell, because I will definitely be dropping more content in the coming days. I'm your host, Ronald M, signing out. Cheers.